Everybody. I feel like I never fails. I've got a blurry camera. We're going for it. How we doing? I've got a new hair color. If you're a repeat, I'm same girl, different hair color, different room too. I should unblur it for a second so you guys can see. Welcome in. I'm gonna open up the chat. So give me one moment. How's everybody doing? I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. I hope you all ate a lot or just relaxed by yourself or spent time with family, whatever makes the most sense for you or what felt good last week. I'm very much about choosing your peace when it comes to holidays. If this is your first time here, welcome. If it's not, welcome back. I'm happy you're here. I'm going to give everybody a minute or two to pop in. I'm going to say hello in the chat. Throw a little happy Thursday in there. Make sure everyone can see that. Then maybe I'll take my blur off the back here so you can see my little Christmas tree vibe. It's a set, guys. It's important to know. She's a sad tree right now. I'll show you for fun, actually. I'll unblur it for a second. Oh, you can't really tell. So she had many lights. We plugged her in this year. Only one strand worked. I bought a new strand to plug into the strand that worked, and then the other strand stopped working. And I went, you know what? This isn't my battle. That was last weekend. So we're just letting her be a little sad. She's a great star on the top that you also can't see, but I just like the vibe behind me. I moved into, for those of you, it's not the first time you know, I'm in Northeast, in the Pennsylvania area. And we got a lot of snow and things. And like for my mental health, I was like, I need to move into a space that's got more windows, and my office is a little closed. So I moved back into like, we have like a little, I don't know, den-ish area. We came back here. Anywho, so happy Thursday. Welcome in. Chat is open. Feel free to chat away. I'm going to pop the Facebook group in there in case you're new. If you are new in these couple of moments while we're letting people come on, let me introduce myself and explain a little about what we do here and why I'm even doing this. My name is Laura DeVega. I am the Director of Agency Development at World Via Travel Group. Hi, Jasmine. And what I do there, I work a lot in the recruitment space, but also work on developing agencies within. Hi, everyone, brand new to travel agency. Ooh, Jeffrey, welcome to the club. Welcome to the craziness. We're glad you're here. So I have been in the industry closing 13 years, going on 14 soon. I started as a travel advisor, had my own agency for a while, worked in the wholesale space with a company called GoGo Vacations for a very long time, worked on their sales team, and also worked through their web team for a bit, but worked on their sales team and their business development team. And towards the end there, even ran their business development team. And then I'm almost at a year with World Via, but about a year ago, I started with World Via. And something that was consistent that I found, and my coworker, Erica Scanelli, when we had the agency together, but even when we both worked for GoGo Vacations, we kept finding we were speaking to advisors like yourselves, and even knowing from our own situation, haven't joined an agency yet because I don't know what company to go with. Okay, Jeffrey, well, welcome. Welcome. I hope I can teach you some things. We'll get into what this topic is, but I have a lot of other things. I'll pop the Facebook group in and you can kind of get a vibe of what I talk about and how it can apply to you in the agency you're about to build. And if you need any help, please let me know. But yeah, so what I've noticed is consistent in travel advisors is there's not a lot of space for personal development and professional development courses. We focus a lot on supplier training. We focus a lot on certifications like within those your niches and things. But the actual focus on developing yourself and growing your agency and just as what this course is kind of these weekly classes are called is elevate your agency. It's like taking it to the next level. It's very important to me. Like I always say, bigger, better, best is like a phrase that I kind of live by. And I think it's a good thing to always kind of be evaluating yourself in that manner. And so I wanted to create a space. This is free. This is free to anyone. Doesn't matter if you're my host, outside my host, if you're a friend of mine from my travel adventure. I've met hundreds of advisors, like hundreds is an understatement, thousands of advisors in my time in the different positions, but I'm friends with and very good friends with hundreds of advisors through my time. Everyone is welcome here. It's a space where you can grow, where you can share information. And I'm talking, and I'm forgetting the Facebook group. The Facebook group I have that is solely a place where we just store past episodes. So if this is your first time, like Jeffrey, you're saying, again, welcome. But all of the past classes, except for two, I keep saying this each week, we just keep not getting those two up there, but we will. All past courses are shared in this space. All you have to do is ask to be a part of it. I do all the approvals, so I'm gonna let you in. And let's see here, share copy link, yeah. But we just do that just to make sure we know all who goes in. I think this is the right link. Click on there. We'll add you in. It's called Elevate Your Travel Agency. And we do different themes every week. So we have done a magnitude of things over the last, we've done about 13 weeks, 12, 13 weeks so far. Maybe even closer to 14. I could be wrong. And there's a theme with it, right? So we always kind of talk about the beginning stages were goals, growth mindset, setting good habits, creating, and then we got into creating business strategies, creating financial strategies. We've kind of broken down those all in broad strokes, did a broad marketing one too. And then tonight we're actually going to get into delegating and like the ability to delegate, and not so much even just to delegating to new employees, but also just delegating tasks so you don't overwhelm yourself in your business. But what I can tell you, and I'll get started in a second because I want to be mindful of everybody's time, we are planning out all of 2025 that started this week, and I've got a lot of good stuff coming. I think that you all will like, there's a lot of good themes to it. There's a lot of sales themes. There's some marketing themes, but I don't try to take on things that I'm not the expert in. Ton of sales stuff, though, a lot of development stuff, goal setting, business planning, financial planning, succession planning, time management, things that you have asked for. I have taken note and we have brought those in. And what we're going to do is kind of like themed months going forward, because it was kind of haphazard how I did this. But then you'll know, or if it doesn't work out to a month, because I do travel for my job quite a bit, and if I have to be out, what we're gonna do is like 4-week stints of like a theme. So it might be 4 weeks of sales, 4 weeks of this, 4 weeks of this. So you get those right in a row. So let me pull up what we're going to talk about tonight and kind of get started here. So this week, I am talking about something that I think is really important. And I think even within my own business and in my day-to-day with my team, we all struggle with it, even myself, right? Which is embracing delegation. I'm going to pop this screen up here as I kind of talk through why I picked this topic and why we're kind of talking about it. So let me just pop that up there. And I like to share the screen because I am a visual speaker, if you couldn't figure that out already. So I like you to be able to see me while I'm kind of talking through the slides here. So let me just pop this back up so I can see the chat. So also just, again, if this is your first time, chat away. It makes it much more interesting for everyone involved when we have questions, as well as it keeps me engaged and excited about what we're talking about, what we're going through. Oh, Heather, I started my agency in July 2023, got overwhelmed by all the information coming from every direction, got burnt out from daily social media posting. Oh, girl, I get it. And no interactions from my followers. So I took a break and now I'm getting restarted. Well, one, congratulations, because the fact that you took a minute and went, I need to go back and I need to restart, is a huge step that most people don't take. They either back out, they get nervous, they get afraid, whatever. So one, congratulations for even doing that. Two, listen, the start of a travel agency is messy. If anyone tells you, sorry, Jeffrey, I'm just being honest right up front. It can be messy at first. You have to be ready to like buckle into the messiness a bit. But I think when you take the time, you'll hear me say this often in these classes, to work on your business, not just in your business, that is going to help you tenfold. And just taking the moment of kind of looking from a 30,000 foot view and going, what can I improve? What can I do better constantly? You're going to always there's no downside to that, right? And I'm going to say, even for my own space, I had a really big thing going on in my company that I had to deliver this week. I had been working on it constantly. And I was overthinking the crap out of it. And that's natural, right? And so I'm sure as you're building your business, you're feeling those same feelings. And I finally, someone made this, and it's a very visceral analogy. So I apologize. No problem. We'll be here, Whitney. I had to birth the baby, as someone said to me once, which is I had to just finish it and let somebody else get their eyes on it for a second, and then take a step back and go, if I was brand new coming into this, is this good information? And I went, oh yeah, this is great information. But sometimes you sit in your space, it gets too heavy. And when you said that about social, I remember when I had my own agency, I got so overwhelmed by the building of social. It's actually a topic that's coming up in the future. Is talking about how you kind of build a social plan, because that can be insanely overwhelming. And trying to drive traffic to your site can be insanely overwhelming. So when you sit in that space for too long, you lose what you could be doing that is good, and probably what you're even excel at if that's something that you're overwhelmed with. So we'll talk through a lot of that, and please just know you did the right thing. You're back in it. You are resilient. You're here. And I think you taking the time to sit in a class like this, where we're talking about growing yourself, you're only going to do better. Jeffrey, getting overwhelmed with all the companies, and they're driving me nuts by trying to get me to join them. Oof. All right, I'm not going to mention names, Sarah, because I have something mentioned. I get it. And you're in a particular, we're off on a whole other tangent now, but I love it. You're in a different particular situation. So you're in a situation where the world is your oyster, to use that phrase, right? So you are in a position where I literally, I will pull it up at the end, Jeffrey, and I can send it to you in advance. I just wrote a blog post about choosing the proper host agency for yourself when you're starting out. If those of you who are on here are not host advisors, not a problem at all. Being independent is totally fine, but a lot of people choose that route. I work for one myself. I've seen both sides of it. What I will tell you is there's pieces that are incredibly important. You, Jeffrey, have to take a moment and go, what is the most important piece to you? What are you currently lacking that you need to gain from joining the host? And then seeing if they offer those things in the way that you want them to be offered. Because they might offer them, but also not in the way you need it. And that's really important. And there's some other things too. Jeffrey, I will send me your email that is, I'll send you that blog ahead of time even, and we can kind of talk through it. And that's not even me trying to get you on board with us. It's very important to me that you think through this, because it really affects how your business is run. Not everybody's the right fit for the right thing. And sometimes something that's flashy looks good, and sometimes it's not great. And so there's so much to think about, that but you're in a good space where don't be too overwhelmed, because you're the decision maker. Whatever they're putting in you doesn't affect your job. Heather, this is my part-time gig, so I can only work on the evenings and weekends. And I have been very selective about the things I invest in, the money coming in. So I get that. I'm financial. Oh, so I've created my own accounting system, but also the technology background secretary. Well, I'm going to tell you something real quick, and then we're going to get started, and then we'll circle back to all these conversations. Heather, you being a financial analyst, you're already 10 steps ahead. Something I've talked about in this session before, is that during the pandemic, one of the missed things that happened were so many advisors that were well into their business had no financial idea of what to do. And that's why they floundered. So the fact that you have that backing and understanding going in is you already have an excellent first step. And I know this isn't necessarily your first step. This is kind of your first re-step, but you're going to be golden. And I get it's tough when you're part-time. It's tough investing. You'll hear me say a lot, and even when I'm going to talk about some things tonight, I'm big on only invest in what makes sense. And I never promote you to spend any money, because this can be done on minimal cost. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll continue this later, but I love this kind of interaction. So please, as we go through. So let's talk embracing delegation. What do I mean by this? What am I referring to? I'm talking about a couple things. So you're talking about how overwhelmed the both of you are with different kinds of decisions that you're currently going through. But delegation it can mean it's a twofold thing here, right? So you might be, I know two of you are newer here, but there might be some more established in here, that you are scaling your business and you have a ton of advisors or a ton of ICs underneath you, right? But you just don't want to let go of the reins of the things that you've built because you've built something really beautiful and you don't want to spread that out. And that's difficult to let go. It could also be you are not at that point, but you're independent and you're growing and you know you need to get to a point to bring somebody else on to assist you, whether that be an administrative assistant, a virtual assistant, things like that. And it's letting go the reins to have somebody help you so you can grow and scale. And then it also is just maybe even isn't that literal as an actual person. Sometimes it's delegating tasks to outside sources, especially when you're first starting. When does it make sense to spend that cost, like you mentioned, to have an additional service to make your job easier, right? So there's a few different things in here that we're going to kind of talk through, and I'm going to try and apply to different situations because I know not everybody's in the same space in their travel agency journey, right? And nor should you be. And it's gonna this industry is so incredibly humbling because it doesn't matter if you're in 25 years, 35 years, or 5 years. There's still things someone that they don't know that you might know, or they know and you don't know. And I think that's what's really lovely and wonderful about it. So let's go ahead and jump. Ooh. I've learned from past classes, I wasn't putting my email in the beginning. I started putting in the beginning and in the end. So if you don't catch it now, you'll catch it at the end. So I just kept this silly picture in here. It came in the presentation. It has nothing to do with delegation. Don't judge me. But why it matters, right? So delegation is a process of assigning, I put the actual definition. It's a process of assigning responsibility and authority to others to carry out specific tasks or functions, right? That's the textbook. What does it really mean? It means letting go, right? And I know, especially so often people come into travel as a change of life choice. It wasn't their first career, it wasn't their first intention. They kind of loved traveling, ended up here, went on a trip, loved it, wanted to do it, planned one group, and everyone's like, "Why don't you do this?" Those conversations I hear a lot. But when you create something yourself, there's such a space of integrity that's attached to it, and ownership that's attached to what you've built. It's very difficult when you know you've created something beautiful to task out things that you're not comfortable tasking out to other people. It's kind of relative to this. I'm reading a book right now called The Mountain Is You. Is that what it's called? It's about like self-sabotage, but it can be a superpower. But it talks kind of about this, about how like sometimes when we're so precious about something we've created, we're actually destroying ourselves in the process, and not knowing what other kind of opportunities or possibilities are out there to help you grow and be more successful. So what are the challenges of letting go? Because that's exactly what having to delegate is, right? You're fearing the fear of losing control. You might be fearing, oh, if I bring on an IC, I start giving them leads. What if they don't care for them the way I would? If you're not in the same scenario where Heather is and you're a financial analyst, right? You might be afraid to let somebody else touch your finances. So this is not even building or scaling. It's you're having to do your taxes the first year and you're like, what if they mess things up? It's not even as deep as taxes. What if this is just invoicing for your industry? This is paying out commissions or bringing in commissions, whatever it may be. Your fear of losing control of the quality of what you put out there. I know a lot of advisors that build some really incredible document packages for their clients. They spend a lot of time building itineraries and building those documentations. And now they're bringing somebody else on to help with that. Will they create that the same way? Are they going to create the same customer experience that you've built and you've prided yourself on for so long? Because we can say whatever we want. And I know there's some people that are successful in other manners, but the people that I know that do the best and have the most repeat clients are the people that build a proper customer experience for their clients. The people that tell the story, The people that build the world for them before they travel and then catch them every step of the way is when they go through, right? So when you're bringing in other pieces, whether it's hiring out or an administrative assistant or ICs, it can get very nerve-wracking to wonder if that's still going to be the same. And I kind of already started talking into compromising quality, right? It could be, every time you send a client to Hawaii, you make sure they have that leg reading in the airport. But do you know that if your assistant that you bring on is going to remember to put these extra pieces in? You create beautiful packages for everyone that you create. Do you know that the person you bring in is going to do that? Do you know that the financial assistant you bring on is going to invoice things accurately? So you're getting your full commissions. There's so many things to think about, and you're worried about the quality, and that all makes perfect sense. So just want to say that up, right? And I'm going to take a sip of water quick. It makes sense. Letting go of control. I am a control monster. Ask my husband. If he hears me right now, he's probably giggling. My biggest fear is losing control. I don't like skiing or snowboarding because I'm like, I'm too fast and I don't know what's happening. Like it's that granular for me. So I understand this on a very deep level. Sometimes I'm very much the person. It's like, it's fine, I'll do it myself. It's fine, I'll do it myself. This project I just talked to you guys about that was due this week. My leadership was like, do you need help? Do you need help? And they didn't even know if I was doing what I was doing correctly. Cause I was just like, I'm good. Don't look at me. And they're like, we weren't nervous, but we didn't know because I will bury myself in this. So I need this lesson just as much as I'm teaching it to all of you, but it is something that everyone can be much more productive with. And especially if the big dream is to be bigger, or even just to grow in general, you have to have the ability to have some sort of delegation. So what are the benefits of delegation? Because we talked about why it's scary, right? One, it's going to increase your productivity without a doubt. Okay. It's going to let you focus on all your high level. I'm going to read this off it with the high level tasks like client acquisition and strategic planning. This is you have to work on the business, not just in the business. So as you start, for those of you that are newer, start to bring on clientele and start to get repeats and start to get busier, or those of you that are already established and are very busy in the moment, there's going to come a point, or if there isn't already a point, where you don't have time to plan out what your marketing calendar looks like for next year, what your business strategy is for next year, what your niche looks like for next year. Like, are you planning on changing your business model? What does your website look like? I talk about this all the time. When was the last time you've updated it? Have you had the time to do things like this? When you delegate tasks to other individuals, you have more time to work on your business, not just in it. And it gives you a heck of a lot more time to focus on getting more clients. Now, if you are established and you are in the space where you're already working off repeats, you're good. But then it's client acquisition for the individuals you might bring onto your team, right? Then it's bringing on referrals for when maybe those people stop traveling. You don't know. So client acquisition can mean a few different things. It might not necessarily mean for you. It's bringing on enough so that you can bring on someone else into your team. But there's a lot of things that if you don't have the time to do it because you are just buried, you don't have the ability. So when you delegate those tasks, it's going to increase your productivity without a doubt. It also reduces burnout. Burnout, I just saw recently, it is officially like a medically listed condition because we have all become terrible creatures to our mind, body, everything in between. It's human nature for the most part. There's always people that don't feel this way. It won't necessarily, it might not always be work for people, but there's going to be something where they burn the heck out of themselves. Burnout is a terrible feeling to get into because when you are on a productive role and you hit a burnout stage, it's hard to come back out of, right? So what this is going to reduce your burnout because it's going to free up a lot more time and it's giving you a whole heck of a lot more of a work-life balance. When you start to delegate tasks out to other individuals that can assist with it or might even be better with it, you have the time to, one, not be available 24/7, have your weekends, have your nighttime. This is something that I have recently just actively taken. I read this thing yesterday, maybe, and this is not necessarily relevant to this conversation, but in general, I think it can be relative and we can relate it. It was a college girl, and she said, I have learned, she's like, I've learned to operate on the 11 p.m. theory, which is she never studies past 11 p.m. because if she doesn't know it by 11 p.m., she doesn't know it. And I loved that. And I was like, I need to start applying that into my own life, which is like, if it's not done by 6 p.m., I'm not going to do it correctly. So I can do it tomorrow. Now, I know that's not always the case, but keeping that mindset in there so I still have my evenings because I can get really stuck in a habit. I can really lose a weekend very fast if it's something I'm thinking about. I can't let it go. And not doing that to yourself will lower your burnout. You'll have a better work-life balance. You'll do more things that you enjoy doing, and you can enjoy booking travel, but everybody needs a break, right? So knowing, and also just like knowing you have the ability to take a vacation if you want. We work and travel, but I can promise you, I know out of 5 people, I probably know 3 out of 5 that are travel advisors that they don't know the last time they went on a trip. They like forgot why they started in a sense. So and then if you do have a team, it empowers your team, right? Because it puts them in an environment where they have some autonomy, where they can make their own decisions, and they feel like they're part of the business. So this isn't for everybody if you don't have ICs or advisors of your own yet. But when you do, know that it's really empowering for the people that you bring on when they're a part of the conversation, when they're a part of the build, when they're a part of the client. I know what you're worried about is keeping the client retention and keeping the client experience high, but when you have good people, they're going to feel good about that too. So now, what are some tasks you can do for this, right? So this is actually like a theory out there where it's just routine, repetitive, time consuming. Like it's I'm losing my train of thought. Sometimes at 7 o'clock on Thursdays for me, my brain goes whoop. But routine, repeat, repetitive, time consuming are the 3 things to think of when you're thinking of tasks that could be delegated always. It's just go through that. So why is because is it a routine task? That means it's easy to know that it can be tossed off. It's something that happens all the time. You're doing it every day. Is it whether it's managing client inquiries, booking travel, invoicing? Now, I can understand we're in a travel advisor perspective. You don't want to give up booking the travel. Totally fine. But I can tell you, no one, do you remember the Marie Kondo, like finding joy when you touched an article of clothing? Like, and that was when you decided when you kept it or not. I don't remember that. I don't know anybody that finds joy in the invoicing process. The money coming in is joyful. I'm not gonna lie, I likes money, but the actual process of invoicing is not fun. And listen, you're not selling vacuums. You're asking for significant amounts of money, so it's a slightly different conversation. It's not necessarily always joyful. Sometimes it is to catch up with the client, but it's not joyful. So are these tasks that you can task off to someone else? We'll get into who you would be able to task that off to in a moment, but is this someone else can help you with this? Because it's easy enough that it doesn't take a lot of brain power, it doesn't take a lot of skill, and you can say, hey, can you do this for me? Great, beautiful. Repetitive. This is very intentional because if it happens all the time and is repetitive, you're more than likely not to want to do it. You just don't want to do it because sometimes it's like getting that stuck in a rut feeling. People don't want to get into it, and that's okay. So things like social media scheduling. I just told you guys this was my problem. Heather, we just talked about this. Man, is this painful sometimes. Updating client information. And this is like if they've moved, if they're interested in different destinations but not ready to book yet, things like that. It could be very like easy, light stuff, but it's happening consistently. Or it's like they want to change your seat in an airplane. They have a different preference. Little things like that. Anyways, I'm going to focus on social media scheduling for the moment. That can be so daunting, especially when you don't really know the proper cadence for it and how often you should post and where you should be posting and what's trending and what makes sense and what you should be doing, right? But if you have someone that is like a specialist that knows this, or even it's just like a young family member you have that knows social inside and out, what would it hurt you to have them help you? What would it hurt you to have them, at the very least, just you say to them, can you help me schedule this out? There's some really cool tools in Meta Business Suite for Facebook and Instagram where this is very easy now, where it can be scheduled up to a month in advance and you don't have to think about it. And to not think about having to schedule your social media for marketing intake it's a chef's kiss. It's a beautiful thing not to have to worry about that. So is it a repetitive task like that? Like, because to do that every day, to go in and reschedule your post and do your post every day and make sure you're posting at the right time, make sure you're posting it to the right people, make sure I'm exhausted even thinking about it. And we do it all the time at my company, but I'm exhausted even thinking about it. It is not my job for a reason. But those are tasks that can be tasked out, right? As well, is it time consuming? Because again, work-life balance, opening up spaces for productivity. So is it researching destinations a little bit further, preparing itineraries, troubleshooting? Researching destinations is a huge task that if you have an administrative assistant or a new advisor I see coming on that could help with, because one, it helps them learn the destination and it saves you a lot of time. Sometimes that it was actually we just realized we were having a conversation, someone on our team, and they were astonished at the amount of time it takes an advisor during about how much time on average they spend building itineraries. It's, I would say, most of your week. If you, especially once your book gets busy, it's a lot of your week. Now, if it's a destination you're familiar with and you just want to say to someone, hey, can you look into see if these 3 properties are available? I just want to offer one. I'm going to skip a price. The time that I'll save to have them do that for you, you already know they're good properties. You don't have to do that. That's beautiful. Or if you don't know the destination very well, have them do some research for you. Again, not always if you want to learn more, that may not be the best idea, but there's things that you can do and put into place if they're time consuming things. I can tell putting your invoices in order, time consuming, because I know Heather, you said you were here for a bit and then went, invoicing in travel is not easy. It's not consistent. Commissions change. It doesn't come until after they travel. To get somebody to organize that for you, insanely time consuming, and will give you so much time back on the other end. And also just any kind of troubleshooting, if this is a big thing. If there's something you struggle with, whether that's marketing, because like I know creating copy is difficult, like oh my goodness, what words to put into like your posts and things like that. Having somebody do some of that for you, it could be incredibly helpful. Also just like troubleshooting what like issues you're having if you have somebody with your technical things, so you're not spending day in and day out. I can't tell you how much time I'll spend because I'm too stubborn to ask somebody to help me with like, how do I do this in an Excel sheet? How do I do this in here? How do I do this in here? If you have somebody that knows it, let them do it for you. Okay, those are ideas of where you start, right? But then a big way to help with this, now I'm going to talk about other options within this as well. But if you're looking to grow your team, you want to build a trusted team, okay? And finding the right people is incredibly important. We actually just had this conversation with a lot of our advisors at our host agency and kind of how they go about this, because this isn't easy, right? Bringing on new people can be scary. One, are they going to be like a type of person you like to work with? Do you know they're going to be a hard worker? Can you even control that? I'm going to be honest with you, if they're an IC, no. Just so you know, if you ever bring on ICs, they're not your employees. You have to let them operate as they want to. But do they have the same passions as you? Do they want to be booking similar things to you or different things to you? These are things to think about. There's also things to like individuals you could bring on that are not employees, right? Or that are not like my goodness, advisors, right? So you could bring on administrative assistants. I've mentioned that a bit. Virtual assistants. This is a huge thing in our industry right now because you don't always need an assistant all the time, right? And there are a few companies, and I apologize, I should have came locked and loaded with that information. There's a few companies that offer virtual assistants by an hourly rate or by project. So you can just say, hey, I need you for 2 hours to do this. And you just pay the hourly rate and they do that for you and they move on. And there's some really cool ones where you can train them ahead of time as well. So they're very familiar with your business and what you sell. So it just, again, it's taking that time out and it's not a huge cost effect on you. You can kind of work it into the bookings you're working on and knowing like this much needs to come out towards my virtual assistant. There's some things to think about with that. There's some virtual assistants that just do callback phone calls for like qualifying new customers, because if you're not familiar with what they're looking for or things like that, they ask those initial questions, so you don't have to waste that time. I don't want to say waste that time, but you don't have to spend that time doing that, and they do it for you. Also social media specialists, content creation, accounting. Now, some of this might be like, oh, I don't want to hire a full-out accountant. I don't want to hire a marketing specialist for social media. That can all be very pricey. I'm seeing dollar signs out the door. and I promise you at the beginning of this, I wouldn't do that, right? There are some really inexpensive ways to hire individuals to help with these kind of things. There's companies like Fiverr and things like that where you can hire out people for just small little jobs, and they are priced at different price points, so you know it makes sense for you. There's different like task companies that you can hire for. So look into your different options of what's available around you. Or this could be just, is there college interns you could bring in for help? Is there even individuals within your own family that you know that are better at these things that you can ask, hey, can you help me with this? Whatever it may be. I know that can be difficult, but when you're trying to build your business and think you can do it all on your own is immediately when you get frustrated and back out. So knowing that you can take help from people and help from individuals that may know more, that's incredibly helpful. I talked about there's virtual assistants that you can train, right? But this also applies to if you're bringing on ICs or employees. So one, investing in training is huge. If you're worried about the quality that you're going to put out or the client experience that they're going to experience, if you're not training them, you've already thrown that out the door. So proper training is what helps. Proper training is what made you all what you are today. If you aren't there yet, it's what's going to make you what you will be. So when you are looking at the opportunity to bring on more advisors or ICs and or even just bringing on some sort of assistant, training them about your company and the customer experience you want to put out should be number one on your list because it keeps everything consistent. I also listed here, it sets clear expectations, you communicates the standards you want to be putting out, and it outlines all your processes, which is incredibly important. And then just establishing trust. So again, this is if you're building a team, but trust is built when you give guidance, feedback, and autonomy. So something that I try to do with my own team is I make sure that they are just as invested in the business as I am. So if they want to make a decision, I say, okay, why are you doing that? And they say, I go, okay, let's see how it works out. Because I know that was done for me, and it's incredibly empowering when you know that you have some choice and you know you have the ability to make decisions within limits, of course, but giving that autonomy gives a lot of power to them. And then I'm a big believer in feedback. That's not always an easy thing for everyone to comprehend or to swallow in a sense, but feedback is what helps you grow. It's what helps you learn. I say this almost every single class, but I never mind being wrong because I know more after than I did before. That is not my quote, somebody else's, but I think it's really important to keep in the back of your mind. So keep that in mind when you're bringing people on. Be willing to give feedback, but also be willing to get feedback because you can't just dish it out and expect not to take it. So, and then just empower your team to take ownership and their responsibilities. Oh, no, come on. No, there we go. So, strategies for letting go without compromising quality. A lot of words there, sorry. So create standard operating procedures, or SOPs, sometimes this is called. Why you want to do this is so if you're just even hiring someone outside or bringing on an employee or IC, you want your entire process documented. This will take some time. I do not want to lie to you. What I want to say is as you start to see yourself going through processes you have, start to kind of document this and write it down. That's a good place to start to get these in a space where you have them. And then you'll be able to distribute them as you bring people on. This is important so they know what's going on in your business, so if they're just going right off the street, they can pick up and go, oh, this is how Heather runs her business. Oh, this is how Jeffrey wants to run his agency. I get it. I'm here. So making sure you're writing those down. I have just crafted new ones for my own team. It's incredibly, incredibly important to have standard operating practices, or even like an SLA, which is a service level agreement, which is like if you bring somebody on that's like for part-time help and to say, hey, like I agree to get back to my clients within 24 hours, even if I don't have a response, just to say I'm still working on it, whatever. That sets a standard of quality within your business. It's incredibly important. I said incredibly important a lot tonight, guys. Sorry. Implement quality control checkpoints. So set up regular reviews. This is more so for employees, but there's no reason you can't review or have conversations with outside sources that you're hiring in. Make sure that the quality is what it's supposed to be. If you're worried about quality and that's why you're afraid to delegate, if you're not checking in, it's your own problem. It's true. If you're not taking the time to make sure the quality is delivered the way you set up when you put those standard operating procedures in place, this is just as much your fault as it is theirs. So take ownership in that. Make sure you're setting up regular reviews. Use project management tools. I'm a huge fan of these. I just use Microsoft Office's tool, their planner tool. So it just comes with my email. So again, we're talking about cost and things like that. I mean, well, to be fair, there's add-ons and things like that. I don't want to lie, but that's the tool I use. But Trello is incredibly helpful. Asana is a huge one in Monday.com. It lets you schedule tasks. It lets you collaborate with team members. You can tag them in things. You can track progress. Again, this is a cost associated with this. So this is not a first step thing, but down the road, when you start to build and get bigger, to look into these kind of tools is really, really helpful to keeping your team organized and keeping what you're putting out organized. And then communication is key. You have to talk to the people that you're working with, not just if they're employees, also if they're independent contractors or people that you've contracted to work on your business. Schedule regular check-ins. You don't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be a daily check-in. It could be weekly, it could be bi-weekly, it could be monthly, whatever makes the most sense. I know advisors that operate very differently as far as with their own ICs. Some do a monthly check-in, some never check in, some check in weekly. That is up to you, but know that your business will run accordingly to however often you check in. And that's something you have to keep in your mind when you're making those decisions. So now, how we can do this. One, shift your focus, right? So work smarter, not harder. I could title this, but shift your focus. As you start to delegate more, you can focus your time on building better client relationships because you won't be doing that menial work that isn't in your face. You can expand your network more, like we talked about earlier, bring on more clients, expand your network within other advisors to learn more, learn about more niches, learn more about more destinations. I don't know where I went with enhancing. I lost my whole note there, so I don't remember. You're welcome. But just making sure you're shifting your focus to building your business, right? Building in the space, making sure it's meant to grow your business and to improve your business, to improve yourself. Automate where possible. I'm a big fan of automation. I'm a big fan of AI tools. If you've ever been to these, I bring them up often. There are a lot of incredible tools out there that you can use. So this is what I want to talk about, where like hiring somebody in is not for you right now. There are automation tools that will help you delegate, and most of them are free. If you don't know how to make marketing copy, there you can go on ChatGPT and say, write this for my Instagram posts, and it will do it for you, and that takes the thought out for you. If you don't know how to write a blog post to bring people to your newsletter or like to your website or create newsletters, AI tools will do that for you. You can get a whole marketing plan written out for you on an AI tool, and many of them are free. There's multiple out there. There's ChatGPT, there's Grammarly, there's Perplexity AI. If you go on ChatGPT, there's hundreds of different GPTs that you can add into it, and all you have to do is ask it the right kind of prompt. And if you don't know what prompts to ask, you can ask them what prompts you should ask. There's also some really great tools on YouTube. You can put in like that's a proper way to ask prompts in the AI spaces, and it'll help you. So if you don't have the space to financially hire somebody, or you're not in the space where you want to do that yet, you can automate things and it'll free up a lot of your time. And that's delegation and putting it out to another space where you're not spending that time on it. Client follow-ups, I also am a big believer in automating this. Set up an email. If you have, now this is of course, if you have the ability and the tools, different CRM systems will automate emails for you. So you know when it's 2 weeks after they've been home, it's going to send a how was your trip email. 2 weeks before they go, that's a bon voyage email that says like, remember to get your passport ready, things like that. You can automate birthday, anniversary emails, different client follow-ups. So just to get yourself in the space where, again, you're not thinking about it, takes out the decision fatigue, right? And invoicing. If you have the ability, again, for automation within your CRM system or looking at tools that can do this, I think this is incredibly helpful. I was a big proponent. It didn't matter when the trip was actually due. It was always due 60 days before for me because one, most of the places it wasn't due that far out, but it gave me some wiggle room. And I was able to automate the response. So my system would send out an email 60 days before, hey, your final payment's due. Actually, I would do about 67 days because it was a week before, but like, hey, your payment's due next week. So they couldn't say, oh, I wasn't prepared. And then they still had some wiggle room, things like that. That gives you a lot of space and things that you don't have to think about. A lot of CRM tools, even some of the more standard ones, will also put, even if it's not sending the physical invoice out, it'll send you reminders so you know when the invoices need to go. But I would definitely say is if you can automate the emails, it's incredibly helpful. Measure success. If you aren't already doing this, make sure you set up KPIs for yourself. What is that? Key performance indicator. That's what that is. And that could be anything. That could be how many new clients you brought on this month. That could be how many invoices you sent this month. That could be how many trips you booked this month. It could be just how many cruises you booked if you just want to grow that business. Whatever is important to you for growing your business should be on an Excel sheet of some form, and say, how do I want to grow this? What's my growth for this? And how do I know I'm doing well? Once you're paying attention to your numbers, you're going to do better because you're looking at it every day. We talked about this endlessly, goals and habits. Go back and watch those. But know that if you're writing it down and you're paying attention, you're going to do better. So make sure you have KPIs. And a good one to have for client satisfaction. Start to write down, if you have people start to review yourself, right, when you're getting good reviews, when you're getting bad reviews, you know, what your feedback you're getting from it. Also, just for your revenue growth, are your sales increasing? Are they going down? What times of year are they increasing? So you know your seasonality, all very important. And freed up time. I'm sorry, I cut to the side and I just saw my dog very longingly looking through the door. It cracked me up. And your freed up time. So I think this is a fun little one that I added in as you get into the space where you start to delegate more. See what time you earn back for yourself, because that's also important. That's like a gift to you at the end of the week. So little food for thought there. Yeah. Biggest takeaways from this, right? Make sure you're identifying and delegating routine, repetitive, time-consuming tasks. Those are what you want to task out. Build a trusted team and create systems for success. Even if it's not building a team, it's hiring a team or asking for help for friends and family, whatever is what makes sense for you right now. Get people that you trust and make sure they're set up to do it so it's easy for them, right? And then let go of control while maintaining quality through SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, tools, and communication. Don't be afraid of new tools. Don't be afraid of learning something new. Don't be afraid of a system that scares you or AI scares you. There's so much that you can bring on that's going to make your life easier and make all this delegation a lot easier. So I ask, for you to think about, you don't have to tell me, but what is one task that you can delegate this week to start working smarter? If you aren't booking yet, that's okay. There is still something in your life that you can delegate that will make everything easier for you. I think about this constantly. This week, what I have decided is going to be my thing, because I try to do this as often as I can, is there was a task I was going to take on, which was creating all the content for next year. And I was like pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off. And I have a fabulous, if she watches this far into this video, hi Drea, I have a fabulous marketing specialist that works for us. And she just did it for me. And I could have squeezed her to death with joy. I was so happy that I finally was just like, yeah, if you want to help me with, and I thought she was just going to help me figure out ideas. And she came to the meeting with it all done. And what that did for me was the space it created in my brain, the time it would have saved me. And it was an easy task for her. You know, she didn't have to think that much about it. She used a little bit of AI to help her. Like we used a lot of feedback from what we got from past classes. But I was so caught up in other things, I couldn't get past it and I wasn't working on it. So having her help me, and what I'm learning was with Drea is getting her to help me more is helping me open up my space and allowing me to work on bigger things. So I want you to think about that. What's something you can do in your own space? All right. We kept the presentation short and sweet this week because it was a very specific topic. So one, I just want to thank you for your attention during this time. If you have questions specific to me, my email's on the screen, and that's my name again. I'm Laura DeVega. If you have any questions right now, pop them in the chat, but I'd love to hear what you think, if this made sense, if this was helpful, if there's something else you want to hear about in the future. Oh, good. Whitney, I'm glad you liked it. Like I said, this was a very specific topic, and I have done some other things in the past that if you like this one, I would recommend go back and watching, like business planning and setting goals and setting habits and how to do this. Hi, Nelly. Yeah, good. I'm glad it was helpful. And if anything else you can think of that you would want to see in the future, because we are editing what next year is going to look like. And it will, of course, can be manipulated later too. But I want to make sure I have proper feedback when it's going into it. Delegate home tasks so that I can have more time training in social media marketing. Jasmine, you nailed it. Nailed it. So and that was nailed on like where I said, like, what can you delegate? Because it doesn't have to be delegating something to the business. It could be delegating something that you're doing in your day-to-day life that can have you dedicate more time to your business. That is huge. I'm going to say something. Can you pop your email in the chat? Yeah, of course. Oh, I didn't know it was too small on your screen. I'm so sorry. I can pop it in here. So something I'm delegating. I have a teenage daughter now, which is I almost put the wrong email in there. She's 13. She's not high teen, but she's 13 and she wants to start doing tasks to earn money and things like that. And she said to me over the weekend, can I do some laundry to earn money? And I was like, sure. And I never would have realized what that would have done for my mental health, because when she did that over the weekend, I was able to work on a work project that I had to finish. It was the project that I was talking about earlier that was coming out this week. And I wasn't stressed in the slightest that when I was doing that project, I should have been doing laundry or vice versa. It was such a joy. So when you mentioned a home task, I was like, oh, having her help me was so incredibly helpful. But whatever you can task off so you can work on other things, please try and do it. Or even if it's, I speak with my team about this often. One specific team member, he struggles with his schedule often. And I said, you just have to take the moment. And now he does it well in advance. So it's just there where an hour of the morning each day isn't for work. It is in a sense, but it's for you to focus on work, not in work. So he's one of our salespeople and he takes a lot of phone calls and he's always scheduling calls and he's fabulous. But he's so caught up, he can't plan. A while ago, he was so caught up, he couldn't plan his day out properly. And I said, you need to take this moment every day to plan your day. And if you don't have to plan your day that because it was already done, then this is just your time. This is your time to grow yourself. This is your time to train. This is your time to watch videos that are helpful for you. This is your time. And now I've noticed he does it more often. He might schedule a little bit at the end of the day too. Or if you notice he has a blank, space on where he doesn't have calls, he'll take some time to do that. And when you take that time for yourself to grow and work on yourself, it's so helpful for everything else in your life. I make a point in the morning, every morning. This is just a personal thing. I get up in the morning, and I don't know why I'm holding back talking about. I will try to meditate in the morning. I wasn't going to say that. I don't know why that matters. But I'll try to meditate for a little bit, try to clear my head, and then I will try and read from a personal development book in the morning because I'm trying to get off of being on my phone all the time. It drives me nuts where I try to reach for it because I'm very guilty of that. And I want to create a space where I'm like starting my day in a healthy space. So I will read a personal development book or professional development book in the morning because I'm taking that time to grow and be separate and work on myself. And then I move on with my day. And then I know I at least read a little bit each day. I worked on myself each day. And I think, and hopefully I'm getting something from what I'm reading as well. So, things to think about. And I take that time for myself every morning. I do that. I'm usually either having a cup of coffee or I'm drinking a couple I drink greens in the morning. I'm really throwing myself under the bus here. I'm like, I meditate, I drink greens. I'm not that earthy or special. It's just weird. Again, when you go to the habits one, I talk about there's just things that I've gotten the habit of doing to it makes me feel good. I might feel good about my day. It makes me start my day feeling fresh and like wanting to be positive each day. So anyhow, that's a whole nother class for another time. But taking the time to work on yourself and making that time is very, very important. So I hope you all enjoy this. Those of you that already said fabulous. I hope I see you again. We do this weekly. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. We do this weekly. I will say over holiday periods, we take breaks because nobody, I don't want to take from anybody's personal time. I'm talking about work-life balance, right? So it's weekly Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. There'll be all different kinds of topics. I can even might be able to tell you, do I have it open still? Oh, Jeffrey, if, I don't know if you ever popped your email in here or if you're still in here. If not, I can get it from that says, but I'll send you that like how to choose a host article that I'm writing. Do I have it open? I don't. I was kind of hoping for your sake I might have what some of the next upcoming courses might be. Oh, I think I could pull it quick. If you're hanging for a second and if you're willing to hang on for a second, I can pull it up for you. So we have some good ideas coming up, and I love to hear. I know some of the things that have been talked about previous of what some of you all wanted to hear were succession planning. So that's for advisors that are a little more established and want to know what their plan is. God forbid anything happens or they want to move on. We heard a lot about time management, and I get that. That's a hard one. I'm currently in the process of transitioning to a new host. Do you mind if I send you an email asking you? Of course, absolutely, Nellie. I'm happy to answer any and all questions. You're in an odd spot too. That's a tough space to be in. So please feel free to send me an email. Okay, yeah. So I found January. So January right now we have crafting your vision for your agency, and I think it's a good first week. We're also going to get into developing your niche because especially when you're first starting or even if you're transitioning your agency, that's really important. We're going to talk about what's your plan for growth. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about growth mindset again, because I love that. And then we're going to do building a strong business plan. We just did business planning a few weeks ago, but I think in January, this is a huge time to do this. So we're going to talk about that. February, we're getting a little more closer to marketing, but not too far in because I don't like to pretend I know more than that I do. But we're going to talk about some strategies that you can use in that place, like finding your good, like your right brand identity, but that's a big one. A little bit about creating engaging blog posts to bring interest into your business and how you can work that into SEO, stuff like that. March, we have things about, this is something I'm very passionate about because I came from that side, which is building partnerships with tour operators, hotels and airlines, and how you can properly build that. That's actually, we're going to do something similar to that in the next few weeks also, but that'll come back in March. Mastering client relationships, networking like a pro. I'm reading off of, but we have a lot of really good stuff coming up. April's all about sales. So I hope that you come back. I hope that if you ask to be added to the Facebook group, I'll add you all as soon as we're done here. Ask what is happening here. But I will add you in a second once I get the approvals. And I just want to thank you. Good, Whitney. I will add you in just a moment. There's not a lot of chatter going in there. If you guys are chatty people, please start chatting in there because that's what it's for. There's a good amount of people in there, but everyone's real quiet. So we do post the sessions in there every week. All the old sessions get posted in there. If I recommend any books when I'm talking, I try to post it in there. I just want it to be a space that's open. If you have questions, especially in your building stages, that should be a place where you can ask it. And then what else? Oh, and we always post what's upcoming in there as well. So the link each week for you to register each week will be posted in there. So I'm gonna let you guys go. If you don't have any other questions, Nellie, whenever you email me, I'll get that answer back to you. I'm gonna go approve everybody's messages. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love spending time on Thursday nights with you. Sometimes I'll be honest, I get tired towards the end of the day, but I really feel very rejuvenated when I'm talking about doing what you enjoy. This is what I really enjoy doing. So I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you come back. Tell your other travel friends. This is free. We do it every Thursday. And I just want it to be a space where we can learn more about things and learn more about each other and have a place to grow. So I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday Eve. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Happy holidays to you too, Jasmine, if I don't see you again. And just happy booking and good luck to everybody. Okay, we'll talk soon.